Hi, welcome to Diamond Delight Edibles. My name is Liz, if this is the first time you stop by, and for the rest of you guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for stopping by. So today, I usually always bring you baked goods or sweet things. So today I'm actually going to bring you a savory dish. So I'm making Canna Fettuccine Alfredo from scratch. So our noodles are from scratch. We're going to make those with a can of flour, and our pasta sauce. Our Alfredo sauce actually has cannabutter in it. So this is a lovely recipe for those who don't like sweet things and you want to do something on the savory side. Now, the one thing I did want to say about cooking and why I don't do a lot is you have to be careful with cooking. If you are frying, because THC is oil soluble, if you fry anything, it is actually going to leach most of your THC out of your food and into the frying pan, because THC is oil soluble. So that's what happens. So you got to be careful about different recipes that you do. So pasta was a good one that I thought I'd bring you, and the Alfredo. Most people love fettuccine Alfredo, so I hope you enjoy this recipe. Let's jump right into those ingredients and let's get it made. All right, guys, ready for this? So for our Canna Fettuccine Alfredo, what we're going to need is, for the pasta, we're going to need 3 eggs, 1 3/4 cups of regular flour, and 1/4 cup of canna flour. This is if you want to make your pasta canna infused. If not, just go with 2 cups of regular flour. For canna flour, if you want to learn how to make that, I do have a video on there how to do canna flour, powdered sugar, and canna syrup. So you can have a look for that. It's really easy to do. And then you just want some extra flour there for rolling. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That's what we need for our pasta dough. Now for the yummy stuff, the Alfredo sauce. You're going to want about 1/2 cup of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese, 3 cloves of fresh garlic, 1 tablespoon of regular butter, 1 tablespoon of cannabutter, 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and 1/2 cup of milk, 1 egg yolk. So we're just going to use the egg yolk, not the whole egg. We're going to do salt and pepper to taste, and about 1/4 cup of chopped up parsley. And that's all we need for the Alfredo sauce. Our equipment's really super easy. We just need a rolling pin, a bowl, a fork, a saucepan for our sauce, and a strainer for straining our pasta. And then you want to get a large pot of boiling water going, because it takes a while to boil. So boiling water with a generous amount of salt. And that's all we need. So let's jump right in. Let's make our pasta, and let's make some yummy, yummy Alfredo sauce. All right, so the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to combine our can of flour with our regular flour and our 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Never pour your salt over what you're using. Put in our 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and we're going to stir that well together gently. So if you have one of these pastry mats, they're awesome to work on. They're not expensive at all. They're great. Okay, now that I've got my flours, my 2 flours mixed in my salt, we are going to pour this out, and we are going to make a well with our flour, or a little flour bowl. So we're going to scoop this in. And we're making a well here with our flour. It's going to hold our eggs. And then you're just going to put your eggs right into the middle of your well. Oops. And then, it's escaping. That's not supposed to happen. So we're going to scramble our eggs in with our flour. Get that worked in. The chef's just do it so much neater. So you keep scrambling and working the flour in to the egg. And we're going to continue to do that till we get our dough workable. Oh, sorry. If you have a pasta machine, giddy up for you. You're going to be able to make this so much easier. I, however, do not, so I'm doing the old-fashioned way of rolling it out. But you can absolutely, if you've got a pasta machine, absolutely use that. So as your dough starts coming together, just want to start folding it over the flour in your egg, like so. Keep working that flour in. And then as your dough becomes workable, then you can start kneading it. So just keep kneading your dough. If you find that you don't need all the flour, just scoot it off to the side here. So make sure you get all your dough. I'm just going to scoot this out of the way and get a clean surface to work on now. Just a little scoot down a little bit of flour. And I'm going to knead this dough until it's nice and supple and all comes together nicely. So it take about 5 to 7 minutes. And this recipe should make enough pasta for about four servings. All right, so a way to check if your dough is kneaded enough, is worked well enough, is cut into it. And if there's lots of air bubbles, then continue to work your dough. If it's nice and smooth like that, then you're good. So what you're going to do is we're going to put this together in a ball, cover it up, wrap it up really well with plastic wrap, and we're going to let it rest on our counter for 30 minutes. So I've got my dough all wrapped up here, and I'm just going to let it rest in a bowl here for 30 minutes. Now's a good time to start your pot of water boiling. That way you can get it boiled, shut it off, and then you can easily get it to boil when you actually need it instead of having to wait. Once your pasta's done, you don't want it to dry out. All right, so my dough is finished resting, and it's time to roll it out. I've got my water started boiling. And now, as I said, if you've got a pasta machine, pasta roller, lucky for you, you're going to roll that out to fettuccine size and cut it into, I don't even know how they work. So, yeah, you roll it out to the super, super thin and then use your cutters to cut it into the fettuccine shape. But for us hand rollers, again, I'm going to try and roll this out as thin as I can. So with this rolling pin, it has little discs on it so that you can take it exactly to whatever measurements. There's like 4 discs on it. So I'm going to take it to 1/8 of an inch, and hopefully that'll be thin enough. If not, then I can take the ends off and take it a little bit thinner. But at least this way I can get it 1/8 of an inch even all the way through. So you're just going to get some extra flour and sprinkle your surface. And sprinkle a little on the dough. And we'll start rolling this out. And then for rolling, it's always a good idea to work from your center and push out. Go from your center, push out. Because if you go back and forth like this, all you end up doing is pulling your dough back in and out. So you're not getting it stretched out, you're just pulling it back in. So you want to work and then keep pushing outwards. And it is an elasticy dough, so you do got to work at it. Wow, I wish I had a pasta machine. Okay, I'm not going to lie, hand rolling pasta sucks. Cookie dough, way easier. I'm just going to take the ends off here because it's cutting into my dough where the discs are. My dough is now bigger than my pin. So, not a big deal. Just take the discs off. And you just got a straight rolling pin. And if you do find it getting a little bit sticky or anything, not a problem. Throw a little bit more flour down. And you're good to keep going. I'm running out of room here on my working area, so I'm just going to cut this and work on half at a time. So you want to roll your dough out to about 1/16 of an inch, so about that thick. You basically almost want to be able to see your hand through it. Alright, so then you want to make sure to use a very sharp knife, or a pizza cutter would probably work really well. And cut it into, well, first I'm just going to square it up a little bit so it's a little more even. Okay. And then you just want to cut it into, now, if you like long fettuccine strips, go the long way. Or if you like shorter ones, obviously go the shorter way. Totally up to you. I'm going to go the shorter way. And you want to make them about 1/4 inch. Once you got a little bunch here, pick them up here, pull them apart. I think mine are going to be a little thick. I did that a little bit thinner. So I'm going to do a test with this first one. I just want to see how they're going to come out. So you're going to boil them for about 3 to 5 minutes in salty boiling water. And now I can see my board through. So this is a little better. My first batch was a little too thick. Wouldn't have that problem if I had that pasta machine now, would I? Yeah, so that first batch definitely is too thick. So see, those are a little bit too thick. Now, if you like a meatier pasta, that's fine. But you want to keep it that nice, thin delicateness. So I now have this almost paper thin, and you can actually see my hand through it now. So that's how thin you want that pasta to be. All right, take 2. Oh yeah, that's way better. Those would be perfect now. So just scoot up a bunch of them to make sure they're loose. And I'm just going to finish rolling them up. So you just do is put them in a pile them up like that in little piles, and grab your saran wrap. And just give a little cover up while you work on the rest of them. Not the straightest, well, at least I'll know they're homemade. So I'm just going to roll out the rest of my dough here and get the piles, and then we'll get it boiling, and then we'll get that sauce made. Alright, so my pasta's ready to go. My water's boiling. It's always a good idea to add a splash of oil into your water. Helps your pasta not stick. So we're going to take her, make sure to separate it. And we're going to let that boil for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's al dente. You'll try it. You don't want to overcook your pasta. Once our pasta's done, then we'll get making our sauce. Once your pasta's done, dump it out into a strainer in the sink and run it under some cold water. And that'll help wash the starch off of your pasta, making it not so tacky. So I'm just going to let my pasta drain while we're working on the sauce. Alright, so for your garlic, the first thing we want to do is if you've got a garlic press, great for you, press up your 3 cloves of garlic. Otherwise, you can use a zester to finely grate your garlic, like myself. I wish I had all the little gadgets and doohaws. Alright, so I'm going to turn my heat on to medium. And the first thing we're going to do is put our butter in. Add your butter to the pot, both your regular and your canna. Once your butter is melted, add in your garlic. So the garlic we're going to heat up with the butter. It's going to help release the flavors of the garlic more so, and flavor our butter up. So it gives you a lot more flavor. My butter is melted. I'm just going to add in the garlic here and some salt. Now, unlike baking, cooking is all mainly to taste, so a little sprinkling there of salt. And I'm just going to stir it. We're just going to stir that saute that really quickly for about 30 seconds. Next, we're going to add in our cream and our milk. I'm actually going to get a whisk. I think a whisk will work much better for us. And I'm just going to add in a little bit of pepper and a little more salt. So we want to whisk this, we want to bring this to a simmer. And you want to keep moving it, otherwise your milk, your milk and cream can scald on the bottom. You want to keep moving it. That smells good. And I mean, if you love more garlic, you can absolutely add more garlic. If you like less garlic, lighter, then back off one clove. Kind of try a recipe, see how you like it, and then you kind of make your modifications from there. So our milk has now come to a boil. Our milk and cream has come to a boil. I'm going to turn off our heat. We are going to put in our Parmesan cheese. We're going to move that around. And we're going to add in our egg. Now you have to make sure to continue to scramble, to continue to whisk the whole time, otherwise you will scramble your egg. And we're going to continue to whisk that till it thickens up. Now if you find that it's a little bit too runny still, after a minute or so, a minute or two of whisking, you can add in a little bit more Parmesan cheese. And if you find that your sauce is too thick, you can just add in a little bit more milk. Almost there, a little bit more. Throw in another little handful. Can't have too much Parmesan cheese. Aren't I just making a mess everywhere? Okay, so once your sauce is like this, see, ooh. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add your pasta into a larger pot, and we're going to pour our sauce over top and mix her up. So my pasta has been washed, and there we go. We take our sauce. Over she goes. And tongs would be the easiest thing for you to move it around, mix it all around, if I could work them. So you want to just move your pasta all through your sauce so it's all lovely covered. Sprinkle in some of your parsley. And then you want to get a pasta bowl. So usually they're a shallower bowl or a plate. Don't have to be fancy. And there we go. On she goes. Look at that. Okay, so my noodles are a little bit fat. Then you finish garnish with a little bit more parsley. And if you like, you can absolutely add a little bit more Parmesan. Flakes of Parmesan. And there you have it. Check that out. What did I make? Canna Fettuccine Alfredo. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed that recipe. As always, if you have any questions or any comments, please don't hesitate to put them where. I love bringing this recipe to you. I am going to bring more savory recipes to you in the future. But as I said in the beginning, they're a little bit harder for cooking because you have to be careful that you're not going to cook out your THC into oil or anything. So there you have it. Bon appetit. I'm going to enjoy my dinner. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.